Dear friend, my name is Samuel Ayim of CTL Africa Leadership, and I would like to invite you to our free weekly webinar, The Leadership Platform. The Leadership Platform is your space for learning everything leadership and personal development. We have been holding the Leadership Platform for the last 3.5 years every week, and thousands of leaders from all walks of life have benefited from the rich lessons from experienced leaders. As the year goes on, we are going to bring you even more enriching content. We're going to have a session called Leaders Are Readers, where every month we will bring you a book that all participants will be encouraged to read. We will share the summary of those lessons for you to guide you. We will also bring you a session on meeting with a CEO, where we will bring an experienced CEO from any industry to share their story and their lessons as leaders. Again, we will bring you the extraordinary leadership stories, where we scout out for emerging entrepreneurs and leaders doing extraordinary things in different fields to inspire you to do better. And of course, we will bring you the normal topics in leadership and personal development that would enrich your leadership. So I hope you make a date with us, CTL Africa, every Saturday, 7 p.m. on the Leadership Platform, live on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. On our YouTube, you can also check some of the previous lessons for free. Make a date with us, CTL Africa, on the Leadership Platform, this and every Saturday at 7 p.m.
Hello, and good evening, good afternoon, and good morning, wherever you are joining us from. Welcome to the Leadership Platform powered by CTL Africa Leadership. My name is Joy Bunsushmut, and I'm going to be hosting you for this lovely leadership learning this wonderful evening. So thank you again for joining. Please feel free to introduce yourself in the chat. Let us know where you are joining us from. I'm here at the backstage with our wonderful partner, Sarah Jasiapia. And today, Uncle Sam is not going to be joining us. And I just want to salute him wherever he is and say thank you for the vision of the leadership platform that has over almost 4 years brought learnings of leadership to the world, to help all of us inch up and grow, to make this country and this continent better. So I want to thank him for this vision and for keeping it alive, and also for the opportunity to be here as well. Okay, thank you all so much. Today's going to be a very wonderful session. We titled it Leaders Are Readers. And we have our special guest with us, and she's going to be coming on shortly in the person of Catherine Engmann to share with us, dive deep into this book called Atomic Habits. It looks like this month is our month of dealing with habits, because most of you know last week we had Sarah Jessie take us through a topic on cultivating success through positive habits. So this is really an icing on the cake as we bring the month to a close. Yeah, so please go ahead, introduce yourself, and we'll be able to introduce you to the world. I see Charlie Nete joining us. She says, I'm glad to be here. Charlie, we are happy to have you on this platform. All right, so I'm going to be going straight into it as you share your comments and your expectations. If you've read this book, please let us know in the comments what was your experience, what were your learnings, and to enrich the learnings of everyone on this platform. As we get into with this, as I was reading a book yesterday, John C. Maxwell's book on developing the leader within you, there's a riddle that I found on one of the pages, and I thought I would share this riddle with you. Let's see if we're able to crack this riddle. It's a bit lengthy, so just bear with me. It says, I am your constant companion. I am your greatest helper or your heaviest burden. I will push you onward or I'll drag you down to failure. I am completely at your command. Half of the things you do, you might just as well turn them over to me, and I will be able to do them quickly and correctly. I am easily managed. You must merely be firm with me, show me exactly how you want something done, and after a few lessons, I will do it automatically. I am the servant of all great people, and at last, all failure as well. Those who are great, I have made them great. Those who are failures, I have made them failures. I'm not a machine, though I work with the precision of a machine, plus the intelligence of a human. You may run me for profit or run me for ruin. It makes no difference to me. Take me, train me, be firm with me, and I will place the world at your feet. Be easy with me, and I will destroy you. Who am I? Who am I? So if you have an idea, just put it in the chat and let's see what ideas come up. What you think my riddle? Oh, okay. I'm getting some hints in the comments. I'm going to wait for some of you to try. But if you put the world, if you place, I will place the world at your feet, or I will bring you into ruin. Who could this be? I'm sure we'll find out. So I'm going to introduce Catherine. Most of you already know she's been on this platform this month and shared with us on active listening. Today, she's going to be joining us to lead the conversation on leaders or readers for the book of the month, Atomic Habits. As you all know, she's a corporate governance consultant and an executive coach. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me bring Catherine on, and then I will just hang in there and wait for you to share your comments on the riddle if you do have. Welcome. Good evening, Catherine. Welcome to the Leadership Platform.
Good evening, Joy. I'm really excited to be here. Thank you for having me back, and thank you for trusting me with your audience.
Yes, thank you so much for always honoring our invitation. All right, so I'm going to really reveal the answer for the riddle, and because I got a hint in the comments. And so the answer is habits. So that's the answer to this riddle. And I found this just last night as I was reading through this book, and I thought, interesting, interesting. So we're going to be talking about atomic habits. But Catherine, how are you doing this evening? And what's
I'm
the feeling
doing
like?
well. I'm doing well in spite of the rains in Accra. So my heart goes out to anybody who's been affected by the floods this morning.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we're ready to roll. We're ready to
Okay,
roll.
I
So,
can
ladies and
share my.
gentlemen, if you have your notepads, whatever you're taking notes with, please feel free to do exactly that as we go through the lesson. So, Catherine, over to you.
Thank you. Good evening, good morning, or good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. It's a delight to be back here again on the Leadership Platform, talking about the book Atomic Habits. And I have my copy here with me too. As Joy mentioned earlier, I'm a corporate governance consultant and an executive coach. And my mission in life is to equip, enable, and empower all leaders to be the very best version of themselves. So let's dive in to Atomic Habits. This book is written by James Clear. And he starts off the book with his story on how Atomic Habits changed his life. He was involved in a really terrible accident at university. He wanted to be a baseball player. And as a result of his accident, he was in a coma for a few months and also had several fractures on his face. However, through tiny habits, he managed to become a baseball player in the end. And he shares his story in the book, as well as the lessons he learned. And his mission really is that we will all walk away and implement great habits that will affect our future positively. Okay. Oops, there's a slight problem. Here we go. He opens up with the power of habits and how they are the compound interest of self-improvement, and that we need to get better every single day, how small changes can lead to remarkable results over time. And he uses this graph in the book to explain the 1%, how getting better 1% every single day can actually result in 37 times improvement over the course of the year. Isn't that interesting? And how even by 1%, by 1% worse every single day, we actually end up being negative in negative interest, so worse off. And I'll just share with you one of the pages in here from the book where he says that about getting 1% better every single day, the challenge is that we never see the impact of our bad actions immediately. What happens is that these happen over time. For example, I love ginger biscuits. And having a ginger biscuit every single day doesn't immediately show on the scales. But over a period of a year or 2 years, it shows on the scales, as does me not going to the gym, right? I have set a goal to be better, healthier, to be healthier. And by not going to the gym every single day, I actually don't meet my goal. And so the 1% better every single day, even just by imbibing a new habit and getting 1% better every single day, doesn't have to be mega. It doesn't have to be transformational. It doesn't have to be groundbreaking immediately. Just that small habit every single day will achieve our goals. And here's a problem. A lot of us think that success has to happen instantly, particularly in this day of social media, Instagram. We all expect Insta results. I expect to be a marathon runner overnight without actually doing any running. He refers to this concept of the plateau of latent potential, which is that success is not uphill in a straight line. It's bumpy. And so what happens is that a lot of us, we start on a journey with a habit, but because we do not see the instant results, we stop. But in fact, we shouldn't stop, because with every habit, there is this plateau where you actually stabilize for a while and people will not see the results. You will not see the results. And then just overnight, suddenly everyone sees the result and they say, oh, they're an instant success. There is actually no such thing as an instant success. It's hard work, good habits over a long period of time. James Clear also refers to a concept in this book about being systems focused and not goal focused. What's the difference between goals and systems? The goals are the result that we want, and the systems are the process that lead to that result. For example, using a goal of wanting to become a better public speaker, that's the goal. What are the systems or the processes that would lead to that result eventually? Well, maybe practicing a speech for 15 minutes every single day and recording oneself and reviewing oneself would help you along the way. That would be a system. A system to achieve that goal of becoming a better public speaker would be to read a book every single month. Because by reading a book, you're opening up your mind and will be enabled to give more interesting talks. Another system, for example, could be learning a quote every week to include in your speeches. So by building the systems, you'll eventually get to the goal. Whereas setting oneself the goal of becoming a better public speaker, you might end up going to a conference and giving one killer speech, but if you don't have the systems behind you, it would not be a repeatable event. So in my mind, how I rationalize this are that systems and processes are what make our goal achievable, not just achievable, but sustainable in the long term. In 2018, I set out on a goal to lose 50 kilos, and I was so goal focused. I was doing the things that needed to be able to achieve my goal. And yes, I got to my goal 3 years later. But because I hadn't been systems focused, I was just focused on the goal, lose 50 kilos, lose 50 kilos, lose 50 kilos. And although at the time I had a system to achieve the goal, I wasn't focused on the system. I was just focused on the goal. And 4 years later, but after achieving that goal, I've gained half the weight back because I didn't become systems focused. So I could really relate to this. So remember that goals are the results you want, and the system is the process that leads to the goal. In the book, I took this straight out of the book about the problem with being goal focused. And I've alluded to that earlier in that achieving the goal can just be a momentary change. I wanted to lose 50 kilos and yes, done it, but I didn't build the system. Winners and losers all have the same goals. We all want to be healthier, fitter, wiser, right? Have better relationships. Everyone has the same goals, similar goals, but it is the winners that create the systems to achieve the goals. Becoming goal-focused also restricts your happiness. For example, when we say that, when I'm 50 kilos lighter, then I'll go out and start dancing. Well, or when if I achieve this, or when I've got my degree, that's when I'll start investing in relationships with my friends. We always have a reason why we can't do something. And being goal-focused restricts our happiness, unfortunately. And we're always doing when if. And the great quote in this book is, you do not rise to the level of your goals, but you fall to the level of your systems. And if there's anything I want you to walk away with is this quote, is to remember this, that you do not rise to the level of your goals, we fall to the level of your systems. And it aligns with what my mentor, John Maxwell, says, where he says that be growth focused and not goal focused. It's a similar thing. As a coach, what's really important to me is identity. In our coaching sessions, usually when people come to coaching sessions and they have a goal, we often ask them, well, who will you be in the process of achieving this? And it's really important to bear in mind that there are 3 levels of behavior change. There's the outcome goal, there's the process goal, and there's the identity level. So 3 layers of behavior change: the process, the outcome, and the identity. And I'll explain that when we come back from our commercial break.
I am winning on all fronts limitlessly.
I have made tremendous improvement at work through delegating and empowering teams.
We started with the law of intentionality, which specifically makes it clear that growth cannot just happen. You have to be intentional about your growth.
CTL Africa Leadership brings you the Grow Journey, a series of masterclasses based on John C. Maxwell's book, The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. In this 10-week virtual growth accelerator, you will acquire the skills to thrive and flourish as you evolve into a more impactful and fulfilled individual. You will master the art of personal and professional development as you craft and execute your customized growth plan. Limited seats available. Register now for the next cohort.
Hey there, join the next cohort of CTL Ghana's growth journey.
The next cohort is coming on. Get involved and your life will never be the same.
Okay, welcome back. I was explaining earlier on how our habits shape our identity, and that there are 3 layers of behavior change. So we have the outcome, and then we have our process, which is the second layer, and the identity change, which is the deepest layer of all. And in shaping our habits, the most important thing we have to pay attention to is identity. When we change our identity about something, it's so much easier to put in place a process that we need in order to achieve the goal, which then leads to the outcome. And I'll give you an example. If, for example, you say to yourself that, I'm a writer. Almost everybody wants to write a book, right? I'm a writer. What are the things that a writer does every day? Or what are the systems that a writer has? And by imbibing the identity of a writer, it makes it so much easier to stick to the processes or the systems that give you the outcome of being a writer. That's how our habits shape our identity, or our identity actually shapes our habits. For example, you would have all said, I'm sure you've probably heard yourself say, I'm not a morning person. I don't remember names. I'm very, very shy in public. Well, these are all stories that we tell ourselves, and they're stories that actually shape our identity. And so by changing the story that we tell ourselves, we can then when we change that identity, it makes it so much easier. So rather than saying, if, for example, you want to start waking up in the morning, rather than saying, I'm not a morning person, it's like, oh, I'm a morning person. I remember people's names. I am a writer. if you want to become a writer. So it's very, very important to be mindful of the stories that we're telling ourselves, because that ultimately shapes identity, which then shapes our habits. And it reminds me of what Margaret Thatcher, actually, I always thought it was Margaret Thatcher who said this, but actually I hear it was Lao Tzu Zhao, I can't pronounce his name properly, who said, watch your thoughts because they become your words. Watch your words because they become your actions. Watch your actions because they become your character. And watch your character because it becomes your destiny. So ultimately, what we say to ourselves, the identity that we have, ultimately impacts our destiny. Putting in place good habits, or the processes that lead to good habits, really requires you to focus on who you want to become. And every action that you take is a vote for the type of person you want to become. So for example, I tell you, I have this fixation over ginger biscuits, honestly. And I can sit and eat a packet of ginger biscuits and not actually feel guilty about it. And what I've started doing recently, though, is as I pick up my packet of ginger biscuits and I start thinking, and ask myself, is this what a healthy, slim person would do? No, I'm not. And again, being a healthy, slim person, I am not going to eat another ginger biscuit. Which brings us nicely to the next chapter on how habits work. And I'm now in chapter 3 on how to build habits in simple steps. James Clear refers to this habit loop, and he says there are 4 stages, which are the cue, the craving, the response, and reward. And if there's anything that you walk away with from today, it's really about understanding. I'd like you to really understand the habit loop and its importance in building better habits. Okay. And he goes into the science of this all in his book. And basically he says that, first of all, there's the cue. So the cue is really the thing that triggers your brain to initiate the behavior. So for example, it's coming home, right? For me, it's coming home after a really stressful day. That's the cue, which then triggers the craving. The craving is, I want to feel good. I want to relax. And the relaxation is a cup of tea and a ginger biscuit, which then gives me the feeling of being relaxed. So there's the cue, the craving, the response, reward. So the cue is that thing in your environment that triggers that craving for that thing you want to feel. The craving is what you want to feel. The response is the action that you take to feel the thing, and the reward is the feeling. And I've explained that in the slide here. The 4 laws of habit change. So in order to change our habits, first of all, we need to make the habit obvious, then make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying. And that's how you change a bad habit. And he refers to this in chapter 4, where he talks about this thing called pointing and calling. And I explained that earlier. When I am about to ingest a ginger biscuit, say to myself, is this what a slim person would do? So I call out my behavior. So if there's anything I'm about to do, so remembering my identity and calling out that behavior. And then making it attractive that in the sense that when you're doing something, the feeling that it gives you to make it attractive. So for example, making it attractive for me in terms of building my healthy, actually, I'll use an example of sales calls. In building my business, one of the things that I really do not like doing is making sales calls, right? Because having to pick up the phone, cold call people and face that rejection is really painful. And so to make it attractive, in order to motivate me to make those sales calls, is for me to say, okay, after I've made 3 sales calls today, I will take I'm just trying to think about a reward, which is not something, okay, I'll have a ginger biscuit. Hello. Okay, I confess. So somehow I have linked the attractiveness of not wanting to do my sales calls with my ginger biscuit. So anyway, so if I do my 3-4 sales calls today, I'll have a ginger biscuit. But after reading this and really wanting to change my habits, I'm going to change that. Or I may have, if, for example, I would rather go on Instagram rather than read a book, I tell myself that I'll read 10 chapters of this and then go on Instagram. So linking the reward with the behavior. And then also, it's about making it easy. The habit building needs you to have the right systems in the environment and not making things difficult. So for example, if I wanted to lose another 50 kilos, which I probably do, in terms of making it easy, it would be things like making sure that going out for exercise every single morning, my sneakers are right by my bed. And so I wake out of bed and there are my sneakers, my tracksuit's ready, and I'm off. That would be making it easy. And making it satisfying again is the result that you want to have. So in building better spending habits, I set myself a goal that when I have this amount in my bank account, I will go out and treat myself to something special. So in that way, I'm getting some kind of reward for my behavior, which is good spending habits. These slides are just reaffirming the point. So remember that in order to build good habits, we make them obvious, make it attractive, because otherwise it just becomes painful. Making it easy, so putting in place the easy systems, and satisfying. I really liked the idea of habit stacking. I really love my morning cup of tea. And so when I go into the kitchen in the morning and put the kettle on to make my cup of tea, I do 20 squats. That's a way of me building my health. So 20 squats whilst the kettle is boiling actually is a habit, because I have been linking the exercise to something that I already do. So that's the beauty about habit stacking. You have an existing habit and then you link a new habit to that habit. And then temptation bundling. This one is a really good one, actually, where you bundle your temptations so that you keep them together and that you don't do them. And I'll show you in this book. This is where he talks about this in chapter. He talks about this in chapter 15, where about the cardinal rule of behavior change, where if you bundle your temptations, then you are more likely to stick to them. These slides just give more information about what I said. There we go. Okay. And for example, I really love vegetables. And I also love chocolate. And using this example here, using my chocolate, letting myself know that, okay, after chocolate, before chocolate, after eating my vegetables, I always have chocolate. So for example, also wanting to make sure that you have a healthy meal every single day, putting on your plate a whole load of vegetables as well as the food that you would normally eat is a really good way of temptation bundling. So when you bundle your temptation with something that you already, it's a good behavior, you're more likely to stick with it. Okay. Now, there are very, very many bad habits that we have. And one of my bad habits, which I've managed to conquer, is checking WhatsApp every single morning before as I get out of bed, which is a very bad habit. And so reversing that habit really required me to switch my identity as to who I am. Because I remember the old days where I would wake up around 4 a.m. and get ready to go walking, only for me to get onto WhatsApp, and 3 hours later, I'm still answering messages. It wasn't going to happen anymore. So how that changed was when I wake up in the morning, as I noticed, I would reach out my phone and oh no, this is not going to work. A healthy person is not somebody who spends all morning on WhatsApp. And so I put the phone down and then head off walking. And that's the beauty about identity switching. You're focusing on who you want to become rather than the goal you want to achieve. Environment is everything. What I've found in building better habits is that in our environment, if we don't set our environment up for success, we will fail. And I like to work. When I work, I get my best and my most creative ideas when my environment is clear and free of clutter. And so as much as possible, I try to have a clutter-free desk. And I will make sure that every single morning I tidy up my desk so that it's free of clutter so that I can really focus. And making sure, for example, that I have certain temptations out of the way in my fridge, making sure that my fridge is free of temptations that would ordinarily be in the environment. So setting up our environment for success is really important. Again, I'm using my example of ginger biscuits because I absolutely love them. And it's something I'm really working on at the moment. Having ginger biscuits in my fridge really doesn't support my good habits. And I know for sure that if I open my fridge and I find my ginger biscuits, I will eventually succumb. So I remove them. I'm also learning that there are certain times that I want my ginger biscuits more. Like, for example, lying on the sofa watching Netflix. Oh, yes. That's when I also crave ginger biscuits. And the thing about making things easy is actually having this idea that I would only watch Netflix, say, for example, on a Sunday afternoon, which means that during the week, I don't have that temptation of wanting to eat those ginger biscuits. Okay. We're coming to the end. I just wanted to remind everyone of what we covered. The book is actually a really insightful book, and it's so full of wisdom. And the areas that I picked up and I really wanted to share, but everyone still has to go out and read out the book if they haven't, are the fact that we need to become systems focused versus goal focused, and paying attention to the habit loop. Being mindful of the cues that lead to the cravings then that lead to the response, the action, and then the response. So being very mindful of our habit loop, and also building good habits, making it obvious, so point and call our behavior, make it attractive, make those good habits attractive, and also making them easy to put in place, and then making them satisfying, i.e. rewarding. And then the last bit that I wanted to share with you is sticking with good habits every single day. And this comes from chapter 16 of the book, where he talks about habit tracking. And this is something that is really obvious to do. He talks about putting habits on your calendar. So for example, mine is making sure that I'm praying every morning, walking, actually scheduling them on the calendar so that I remember to do them. And when we also track our habits as well, it helps us achieve our goals even faster. And then there's something very satisfying for me in my journal. I have my different blocks of the different habits that I want. There's just something very satisfying about ticking them all off. And so I will encourage you, if you don't track your habits, to be able to do that. And then he says here that when our habits break down, in order to recover from them, he says the first mistake is never the one that ruins you. It's the spiral of the repeated mistakes that follows, because missing one is the accident, but missing twice is the start of a new habit. And when starting on my new health and fitness journey, I used to have this mindset of I need to exercise 6 days a week. And so when I miss one day, I'm like, oh, well, I've missed a day, so I'm not going to bother this week. What's the point? Whereas in changing my mindset, it's making sure now that I go at least once a week rather than saying I exercise every single day. It just shifted something in my mind. So the first mistake is never the one that ruins you. I'm one of these people that I can throw the baby out with the bathwater when I make a first mistake. No, it's not that first mistake. It's the spiral of repeated mistakes that follows. So missing one is an accident, he says, but missing twice is the start of a new habit. And then he also does refer to as here, when a measure, he talks about Goodhart's law, and he says that everything, tracking your behavior sometimes we then become focused by the numbers rather than the purpose without it, and the purpose behind it. And so measurement is only useful when it guides you and it adds context to a larger picture, but not when it consumes you. The lesson here is, do not be that person who just has to repeatedly and obsessively keep tracking and being obsessed about the tracking, but it's rather about being mindful of the purpose that tracking serves you, because each number is simply one piece of feedback in the overall system. And the last point is accountability. It's been shown that when people have goals and they declare their goals to an accountability partner and they report back on those goals, they are more likely, 76% more likely to achieve their goals than somebody who doesn't actually even write their goals down. So having an accountability partner is key to our success. And so if you don't have an accountability partner, find an accountability partner and share with them a habit that you would like to develop, and then let the accountability partner hold you accountable. To recap, be growth oriented, be systems oriented rather than goal oriented. Pay attention to the cues in the environment, the cues that trigger your cravings, and then your cravings then that trigger the responses, which then trigger your satisfaction. So be mindful of your cues. And remember that to build good habits, we need to make them obvious, point and call, make them attractive, make them easy, and make them satisfying. And remember about habit bundling, where you bundle an existing habit with a new habit. So, for example, doing some squats whilst making your tea, or reading 10 chapters of your book, right, as you listen to some music. So bundling your habits, one old habit with bundling a new habit that you want to form with an existing habit is a good way to change habits. And also temptation bundling as well. So you pair the temptation, your bad habit, with your good habit. And I hope you found that useful. We're coming to the end now. Let me know in the comments below what you are going to do, and what you're going to do, and who you'll find to hold you accountable. Because remember that small changes are what lead to remarkable results, and that having an accountability partner will really help you achieve your goals quicker. Which of these are you going to take away and implement? Let me know how you get on. As mentioned earlier, my name is Catherine Engmann, and it is my mission in life to equip, enable, and empower leaders to be the better version of themselves. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. Thank you so much. That was a good review. That was a good review. Thank you so much. I read this book. I listened to the audio. I listened to a conversation with James Clear himself, sharing what the feedback he's heard from people. So I'd say this is a very good review. And you have some comments in somebody really picked on your ginger biscuits. Olivia says, ginger biscuits, I can identify with, honestly, and hers is malted milk biscuits too. Yes. And then we also had Albert say, great presentation. Olivia came again to say, small changes can lead to remarkable results. Lovely, lovely, lovely. I mean, one of the things I picked up when I was reading, you touched on the goal versus system, the problem of being goal focused. He also mentioned something that goals can limit your potential. And that was so powerful for me because I mean, I also had a weight loss goal, and I said, okay, I'm getting to this number, and it was all about the number. And when you get there, it's as if that's it. But then if I focus on building the habits, my potential becomes limitless, because then I can go beyond that number that I'm looking for. And by that time, I would have built positive habits that stick with me for life. So this book has really brought a very good perspective in terms of where I'm going as an individual. And then one of the things I loved about what you shared, and you clearly put the spotlight on, was the identity change. I love the way you said, when you think of your temptation and you think about who I want to become, your confessions are not about who you are now, but who you want to become. Because sometimes the thing with habits is we can go so far gone, with bad habits, that we do not see the light at the end of the tunnel. So we make confessions and we say, I'm a lost cause. But then if I can think about who I want to become, when I see the temptation, I said, is this how a TED Talk speaker, is going to behave? Is this how
Absolutely right.
I totally love that. I think I'm going to keep focusing on that, so that it's not just the process, it's not just the things around it, but then to the core of it, I can change as an individual. Okay, I'm going to bring Sarah Jessie on so we can just deepen the conversation a little bit. If you do have some questions for Catherine, please feel free to share them in the chat, and then we would attend to them.
And I was going to say that, Joy, even that point about the identity, right? Being very clear on the identity actually also helps us, not just even with the process, but even with the aligning the different things that we will do as a result. So I'll give you an example. in 2014, I set out to be a coach. It's like coach, coach, coach. Everything was all about being a coach. And then about 2 years ago, I was like, no, I'm a leader, not a coach. Coaching is just a tool in my toolbox of being a leader. And I started reorienting my mind. So I now see myself as a leader, not as a coach. Does that make sense? So everything I do is about me being a leader, not as a coach. Not
Yeah, great, Catherine and Joy. This is really beautiful. And for me, my biggest takeaway is also the issue on identity. Because as Stephen Covey says, we have to start with the end in mind. Who are you becoming, or who do you want to become? So that really hit home for me, really studying this book. So thank you so much, Catherine, for really underlying that. And what I wanted to find out from you is how can you share with our audience the fact that, okay, where do we start? Because some of us, this is new to us. So what could be the first step, the little atomic action that we can start with?
Sarah, I think honestly, it's beginning with the end in mind. Who do I want to become? And starting from there. And I'm trying to think, because everybody has such complete, diverse, different goals. So I don't particularly know what people's goals are, so I can't really give that guidance. But I truly believe that it's also because it's not about having the goal. And I'll use an example. I want to become a millionaire. Okay, we all want more money, right? What does that involve? It involves spending less. Is it more, less? It involves spending less
than what you earn.
Less than I earn, right? And yes, things may be really, really difficult in my world, but how about I even save, let's say for every 100 CDs I am about to spend, I put away 10 CDs. That is a habit of becoming a millionaire. Yes, it's not groundbreaking, but at least before I give that money away or spend it, it's like, okay, I'm just going to put that 10 CDs away, right? So that's how I see it. And in fact, I've actually set up a goal to become a millionaire. And one of the things I say is that millionaires really know where all their money is. So every month I have to reconcile all my bank statements and all my Momo. And goodness me, it's painful. And even writing down everything I spend every single day, oh my goodness. But that's how I'm starting. So making a record of every single thing that I'm spending every day, tracking that, and then reconciling my bank accounts and Momos. That's my first step, because I'm sure millionaires know where all their money is going, right? They don't just wake up and become millionaires overnight.
I like that, Catherine. I'm definitely sharing that identity with you, millionaire status.
Amen.
Yes.
So, Catherine, what I'm hearing you say is the fact that you need to document it, making sure that you write it down somewhere.
Yes.
And then, really document all the actions that will lead you to get into that habit. Okay. So that's, okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Joy,
Thank
over
you.
to
Thank you for summarizing.
Yeah, just another one also, I mean, as a follow-up on SJ's question. Some people may ask, so Catherine, how long will it take me? I want to build a habit of being, super sportive, super, energetic. How long will it take? I mean, some people have been doing this for a while and they still are having this yo-yo effect. So how long do you think it's going to take for these atomic habits to really produce an effect?
He talks in the book about that plateau of latent potential. And honestly, Joy, and I wish I had known this earlier on in my life, it's never like this. Success is never like this. Even building a business is never upward and the results are always upward. It's bumpy. It was up, down, sideways, everywhere. Eventually, you get there. It can take a long time. But then when it does happen, people will turn around and say, oh, they're an overnight success. Yeah, right. No one was ever an overnight success. So I think that for people is to stop asking ourselves, how long is it going to take? And trust me, we do that. How long is it going to take me to lose 50 kilos? Yeah, I want to do it in 6 months. And if it's not going to happen in 6 months, then I give up. No, it's about, I need to build those healthy habits for a lifetime. It doesn't matter how long it takes. So being focused on the process and not about the destination and the time that it will take.
I think that you should enjoy the process as you go, you get towards your, building those habits as well. Yeah.
Because I do want that six pack by the summer. I want that six pack.
I remember a visit to the dentist, some years ago. And when I went, I was talking about like my teeth and, getting it all looking. And the first question the dentist asked was, is there a special occasion coming up? And I said, so he's realized that people come here to do a teeth cleaning because they have something coming up, but then these are things that we include in our daily schedule, in the month, just to keep up and check on our health, make sure everything is well.
Interesting. Yeah.
John shared a quote. There's a quote that I picked up. He said, "Successful people do daily what unsuccessful people do occasionally."
Repeat that again. Successful people do daily what unsuccessful people do occasionally. Yeah, that's beautiful. So
I love that.
daily, your daily routines is really key.
Absolutely.
I think Joy is frozen. Okay, Joy is back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. We also have
John Maxwell. He does say the secret to your success is found in your daily agenda.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Great.
Yeah.
Okay. Joy, do we have any questions in the chat? I can see lots of comments.
We have some commendations. Yes.
Yeah.
One coming from Olivia. She says, thank you. Bless your heart for sharing. So true. Lifestyle key points shared and very real and identifiable. We also have Kofi Kakraba Afo, who says, great conversation. Now I have reason to get the book and make the most of it. Yes, please, Kofi.
Yes, please get it. Please get it.
All right. Lovely. So as we just wind down this conversation, just share one takeaway. What's your takeaway as you're leaving this conversation? What's the one thing you want to start doing? Last week, Sarah Jessie also emphasized, let's take action now. Because something that you're not prepared to take action now, there's no way you're going to do that tomorrow if you can't decide to take the action now. So atomic habits, so powerful, something very tiny you can start doing today. All right, so I'm gonna just wrap up and share these few announcements with you before Catherine comes in to give us her pattern shorts. Okay. All right. So as you all know, for CTL Africa Leadership, we have some amazing things happening in our space. Live to Lead conference, which is a John Maxwell conference that happens in October. On the 4th of October is coming up this year. And we want as many organizations as possible to bring their teams, bring your executive team, and you're going to have a great time, and we're giving up to 15% discount on group tickets. So if you come with your team, you can save up to 15% on group tickets. All right. For the month of June, I'm happy to announce to you the book we're going to be reading for the month of June. And drum roll. So in the month of June, we're going to be reading the book titled The Leader Who Had No Title. The Leader Who Had No Title by Robin Sharma. This is another you think you've read Atomic Habits. This is another great one. And we're all preparing. We're getting some copies at CTL so that if you want some copies, you will be able to find it on our library, on our website. So The Leader Who Had No Title by Robin Sharma, just put that as a note. You would find it online, and you can also get the copy for yourself. Growth Journey, the 9th cohort has started. We just want anyone who wants to be able to say, I want to sign up for cohort 10. You probably are busy the month of May and June, but then you want to say, Joy, let me keep your name for July, where we start cohort 10. Please feel free to put in the chat interested, and the team will get back to you in the course of the week. All right. So thank you. Let me bring Catherine on to share her pattern remarks with us. All right, Catherine, over to you.
Thank you, Joy. It's Einstein, I believe, who said that insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. If you want to experience a different life, maybe a better business, a happier life, whatever you want that's different from what you have now, take a look at your habits. It could be that your habits are not supporting you in your life. Changing habits is not easy. It's difficult. But everything is worthwhile. Everything that is worthwhile is actually uphill. And it's important to have good habits that are difficult. Good habits are so difficult, but do the hard things so that your life can eventually be easy. Thank you, Joy.
Thank you so much, Catherine. Thank you. It's a pleasure to always have you on the leadership platform. And I want to say a big thank you to everyone who joined us. Kakraba, Livingston, Anastasia, I see Oyedele, and I see my dad. My dad is also watching me. He specifically put in the chat, and I want to thank you for joining us. Please, that's why we ask you to share the broadcast on WhatsApp, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and then we will be able to get back to you. So, Rosling, I see your comment that you're interested in Growth Journey. The team will get back to you in the course of the week. All right. And conclusion, the last thing I want to say is growth means change. To grow, something must give, something must change. And so as we've all studied the atomic habits and then cultivating success through positive habits, I hope that as we go, something will change, something in your daily habits must change for growth to happen. Thank you so much. And I want to thank the team for all the work they do behind the scenes to bring this broadcast to you. This is episode 170. Next week, we'll be having another session with speaker called Tika Cameron. She will be coming to speak about self-awareness and leadership. And so please don't miss next week, Saturday, 7 p.m. on the leadership platform. Uncle Sam always says tomorrow is Sunday. So if you're Christian, find a Bible-believing church and serve your God there. All right, until we come again next week, I'm Joy, your host for today, and I loved every bit of it. Thanks for being an engaging audience, and I hope to see you again next week, Saturday. All the best and have a great rest of your evening. Bye-bye from the team.